Welcome back to the Erickson Brothers Podcast, where we talk about the questions we do not know the answers to and the possible returns of life's investments. A couple of topics we mentioned here include our faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. I am your co-host, Jeff Erickson. I'm here with my older brother, Matt Erickson. Matt, how are we doing today?
Doing fantastic. It's the end of pretty much the end of summer, so getting back into a routine of work and just the as one of my friends put it the other day, the meat and potatoes of life, and instead of the summer slowdown with travel and events and work slowing down. So yeah, we're into the grind, the meat and the potatoes. So it's good to have that too.
Yeah, yeah. Summer's over. Went by quick, and it's been about a month and a half, almost 2 months since we've done our last pod. So, yeah, back into the swing of things there.
Yeah, I think both of us have just been pretty much traveling almost every weekend, or at least one of us have been traveling every weekend. So um, we've both been at weddings, and we were home. Yeah, I was in California. I went to Buffalo, Houston, Aspen, just bouncing around, and no travel plans coming up. So it's good to just be here, and like it works speeding up again. So we're good.
Yeah, yeah. Super busy. It was a fun summer nonetheless. Nonetheless, had a great time. But yeah, going in, got 4 months left to close out the year strong. And yeah, man, 2023 is almost over. So got to be urgent about things. At least in my business, man, we are got a lot of things to close out the year strong with. So gonna be good.
Yeah. I think now that I'm in the corporate world, it seems like this time of year is big for people to just align themselves and get a lot of things done before the year. And for companies in my industry specifically, they're looking at refinancing their debt, getting that straightened away for the next few years, and September is a good time to do it. So market's been popping, and yeah, so it was good, but here we are. And yeah, I think one of the things that's been on my mind since we haven't been able to talk in a few Sundays is that, like, we use this people use podcasts traditionally to talk about their life and talk about their experiences and talk about what they've done in the past, and say, like, okay, like, I'm coming from this place of knowledge and experience. Now you should listen to me because of A, B, C, and D. Here are my experiences, and this is why you should listen. And how we've treated this podcast is just a little bit different. We don't have the knowledge, we don't have the experience. We're just going about it one step at a time, and we're just treating this podcast as just pretty much footnotes to something to look back on, but also using the conversations that we have are stuff we will do in the future, thinking about life in the future, our thoughts going forward. But it's so in it's an interesting dichotomy that the things that are holding us back from talking about the future are the things that we did the past few months. And we don't it's not necessarily the past few months not necessarily going to transform our thoughts or our podcast in any way, but um it's interesting that, like, most podcasts would be like, oh, like, I listen to me because I've done these deals, I've been with these people in these rooms, and I've had these experiences. but we kind of treat our podcast very differently, and coming from a place of just full transparency and honesty, and just a ability to see, maybe look, maybe in the future look back, or maybe
Mhm.
use it to help people who are also in the space of not knowing what they're doing. So that's been on my mind, and I was a reoccurring it's been a reoccurring thought pretty much every Sunday that I've had, that either I've been traveling or you've been traveling to where we haven't been able to do the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a balance definitely between like doing life and then reflecting on life,
Yeah.
or like doing life and like even setting goals, like casting a vision, like seeing where you're actually going. So, um, yeah, obviously a big part is actually like getting to where you want to go and like doing the actions that are going to get you there. But it is good to take some time to reflect, and then also good to take some time to see where it is that you're going and where it is that you're striving for. So, um, yeah, I think 1 hour every Sunday. I think that's at least how I see it. That's a good balance. But yeah, man, I'm fired up. I'm ready to get into the swing of things, and I'm glad we can get back into a little bit of a routine here as we finish up the year.
Hmm. So yeah, I what have you been thinking about this this summer? What have you enjoyed? What are you reflecting on? How are you going to use that going into the rest of 23 and beyond?
Yeah, no, this summer's been really good, and I live here in San Diego, and I moved out here. One of the big reasons I moved out here was so I could be in person in the office that I'm at with WFG, and I could surround myself with um, some high performers in the business world, and I've really enjoyed that. I've gotten a lot closer with some of the guys in the office. We just did a leadership retreat 2 weekends ago, and we went up to an Airbnb about an hour north of San Diego and just spent time hanging out and um, in fellowship. We were talking about things that are super important, talking about our families, and then talking about goals we had as well. So that's one thing I really liked, and that's one thing I kind of realized I want to do more of is do more do more like retreats and masterminds, and being able to kind of sit down and enjoy your time with some people that are in business with you and whatnot. So um, that's one of my highlights I've actually had this summer. And yeah, other than that, man, I mean, yeah, it's I'm pretty excited for the year end. As I mentioned, got a lot of things going right now with business in terms of momentum and just where
Mhm.
that's going. And
So what are some of the things that the you guys talked about in this leadership thing? What did
yeah,
you learn?
yeah, we just talked about like one topic I remember was why people quit the business, and like the difference between like people that come in and are successful right away and people that aren't. And sometimes how you just have to make a commitment that you're going to be able to get it done, like regardless of how hard it's going to be, or um, what the trials or adversities are going to be along the way. And I think there's a lot of things in life that apply to that, where you don't necessarily know what the road ahead is going to look like, but you have to make the commitment that you're going to get through it. I think that applies to faith and like a relationship with God. I think that applies to maybe like even a marriage,
Hmm.
kind of making a commitment, making your vows that you don't necessarily know what that
Hmm.
path is going to look like, but you're like, hey, I'm going to do it. Like, you have my word, I'm going to get it done. I don't know, like I have this uncertainty, but you have my word, you have my commitment that we're going to get to the other side. So um that was like one topic that I really liked, and I think it was just applicable in a lot of different areas of life.
Hmm. Yeah, well, it's definitely applicable in faith and in marriage, that being just a covenant with God and with your spouse. But I think those might be the only two things where you or marriage, and obviously there's some circumstances where you're no longer committed, but the and 99 point, I don't know, I'll leave the math out of it. But anyway, how do you know where something, because there are times when you might need to switch gears, and there are times when you need to take a step back and you need to say, okay, this isn't right for me. This isn't the right path. And like that can definitely be in business. It can definitely be in training or friendships. And that sometimes the only two things where that exit ramp doesn't exist is faith and family. So and everything else,
Yeah.
like how would you go about evaluating? It's like, okay, like this might have worked for them and it might have been good for them 10-15 years ago, but now 2023 it's different. It is where everybody's different, the time is different. Like, how do you evaluate putting your own discernment on what people tell you?
Yeah, good question. Um, I think you have to give it, and again, this is coming from somebody that hasn't gotten to the life that they want to. Like, I'm not living my dream life, nor can I reflect on a 10, 20, 30 years of a successful career, right? So this is somebody like I am in it right now, and this is my perspective from being in it right now.
Mhm.
I think you have to do it for long enough for it to work. And I don't know how long that. I think it's at least a year to 18 months to 2 years, because it has to be something to where you're not giving up because it's difficult. You're not giving up because it's uncomfortable. You're giving up because it's not going to be the best vehicle to get you to where you're going.
Mhm.
Right. And I think people will quit, or people will change paths because they're like, it's just, I just can't stand it anymore. Like, it's just demanding too much of me. Like,
Mhm.
it's just like they just give themselves, they leave and they quit because they're no longer willing to sacrifice what it is they need to sacrifice, instead of them changing gears because it's no longer something that is going to be the best fit for them, right? So it's like there's two different things going on. And I think again, I think a year and a half, 2 years, a full dedication, foot on the gas, like head down, making sure you're getting everything done before you can be like, okay, like, is this going to be the right fit? Is this going to make my most amount of sense for me? So I don't know. What
Mhm.
do you think? It's kind of tough to know because, again, I don't really have that experience. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that I think you're referring specifically to um, work and your
Yeah,
perfect.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. I think in I think that's a good distinction too. Is like, are you giving up because it's difficult, or are you or giving up is not the right word. I think just maybe switching focus or changing uh, changing lanes. So the I think with work, yeah, I think that a lot of people talk about the year and a half mark as something like, okay, you've done it, you've seen your first go around as a for me it'd be like you're a first year analyst, you made it to a second year analyst. What is your what are your thoughts about going forward, blah blah blah. And then I think a lot of people at that in between that 1 and their 2 year mark, um like start to think about changing gears. They gave it a good commitment, and now they're determining, is this for them? Is it not for them? So, yeah, I think that is definitely a consideration. I think the same thought process applies with working out. I don't know if it's the same, maybe not the same timeline, but like I think one big distinction we talk about is working out in the morning versus working out at night. And it's
Mhm.
like, okay, am I working out? Like some people like working out in the morning because of they like getting up, they like being productive, they like being able to say that they're working out when nobody else is. But is that truly the best time for them given their schedule? Or for example, or like maybe taking a rest day, like, oh, I'm taking a rest day because I'm tired? Or are you taking a rest day because you're lazy and you have other priorities? Which is fine, but it is it is in the similar thought process of um like taking a step back and maybe changing lanes. Are you stopping because it's uncomfortable, or are you stopping because you need to reassess and there might be a better path for you? So um yeah, I think the right now, early September is that time to get into those routines and say, okay, what is best for me? Because this summer for me, I've just been traveling and um like the work schedule is, sometimes I've been from home, sometimes I've been in the office, sometimes I've been traveling for work. So the uh the first thing to go is the consistent working out, or the consistent routine of working out. So I think I'm really excited for this fall to get back into that. I think there aren't a whole lot of things more I enjoy in life than working out and getting in shape. So um looking forward to that routine this fall. And I think that just given given my work schedule, I think it like the evenings I definitely feel more productive and I'm more alert for work than if I work out in the mornings. But I know you like working out in the morning. A lot of people talk about the advantages of working out in the morning. So
Mhm.
uh, yeah, that's definitely a tangent from where we started. But I think the distinction is like evaluating your process, evaluating your short and medium term goals. Are you on the right path for that? And do you need to switch gears because it's not working out? Or are you trying to switch gears because you want to take the easy road? So it's definitely something of self reflection. And again, we don't have we're not coming from a place of knowing exactly what to do. We're coming from a place of, hey, we're in it.
Yeah.
We're trying to be the best. um we're called to glory, and we're called to be the best people we can be, physically and in our work, and emotionally, spiritually. So we're in it too. But I think yeah, I'll stop there. I've
Oh,
been
that's the fun of it. And I mean, Alex Hormozy, he always talks about how where people go wrong is they apply the finite rules to the infinite games, meaning they think they can win business, right? But like winning business, for an example, like business is an infinite game. Like the business of a business is to stay in business. Like the goal is to have your business running, right? Same thing with a marriage. Like you can't win in marriage. Right? Like the goal is to stay married. Like same thing with fitness. Like you can't win fitness. I like the goal is to continually working out, continue to be like improving yourself and yeah, getting better. So
Mhm.
where I'm going with that is like when you're looking at possibly switching careers, right? Or you're looking at possibly switching business opportunities, know that like,
or workout routines,
or workout routines or
or
relationships, right?
yeah,
Like the goal is to be getting better and to be staying in the process of it and to be like just improving, right? It's not like you get to an end of it. Like you don't come to the finish line, you know?
yeah,
So that's at least one thing that's really helped my perspective on it is like, we are successful. Like one of my favorite quotes is you're successful the day you say that you are, right? Because it's an infinite game, and because you can like simply growing yourself as a person, wanting to improve, striving for your goals, like that in it of itself is successful, right?
mm, yeah,
So
yeah. I think that's a good point. There's you at in life there are so many things, and you might think, oh, I'm going to start doing this fitness class, or I'm going to start doing this more, or I'm going to pursue a new job, or whatever it is. Like you don't just because you make that switch doesn't mean you've arrived.
mhm.
It means like that's the beginning, and like really there isn't an end. Because that's just life. There is I think in sports, or in like amateur sports, even professional sports too, they people have these big celebrations and these big announcements for college commitments or getting drafted or signing contracts, and like that kind of, I think a lot of people see that as an end line. They're like, oh wow, look what I've done in the past. I'm now committed to Texas Tech or or Louisville or whatever. I think for me when I committed, it was definitely like, okay, like that it is kind of a finish line, but that perspective is just so it's just it is you're putting a finite game on you're putting a finite ending on an infinite game, when the infinite game is, oh okay, actually now that we are here, this is when the work begins. This is just the next step in the process. Yeah, same thing with graduating college, same thing with getting a job or getting a new job. Like you have to think of it as the beginning and not the end. um and there are times of reflection, and it is worth noting, and it is a big deal to commit to a college or start a job, but I think that perspective of it being of you throwing yourself into an infinite game is more important than the announcement or the finish line. So
Yeah. Love that. Love that. Question I have for you, and kind of switching gears, is what is one thing that you have either changed your perspective on in regards to your relationship with God, or just one thing, one sermon topic that you really liked recently
mhm.
that's kind of shifted, or just like, yeah, giving you a new way to look at faith or just relationship with God, or something that comes to mind when you hear that.
um yeah, I actually have a good answer. I will go get my all right. So I think I wrote this down close to a month ago, potentially, but it's three Bible verses that I think all relate. And I don't know, I forget if I heard them in conjunction with one another or separately, and then just one of those God things put them together as three verses that I thought related. But the first one um, it's Matthew 7:13-14, Isaiah 43 verse 2, and 1 Corinthians 13:11. And I think they all pretty much talk about the just trials and tribulations of life, and coherently growth that happens with those trials, and growth spiritually, um, growth in just as a human and as a person, and what's really required for growth is a lot. You're not guaranteed to progress. Progression is not a guarantee in life, um, and not everyone gets the reward of developing or progressing. It's not a natural thing to get better. The natural thing is to stay the same, or get worse. Like that's one of the main principles of the universe is, I believe it's entropy.
Yeah,
I,
entropy. That's the word. Is like the
um,
state of everything revolving to chaos.
yes, entropy. And so like the majority of people in life will move towards a state of entropy, and the minority will go to a state of order and progression. So these verses, I think one of the and with progression, things become more difficult. I think, when I was at a wedding in Houston, um, in a few weeks ago, they had a Bible there, and you could write down, you could highlight favorite Bible verses and write a note to the wedding couple, and just taught and just like wish them, like just share with them your knowledge or what verses you like. So I highlighted Matthew 17:13-14, and it says, enter by the narrow gate, for the gate enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction, and those who enter it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to life, and those who find it are few. Um, and the guy who got married, he is, he's incredible. He was a baseball player with me for a year, and youth pastor now, and he's just the classic example of going through the narrow gate and doing things that, you have to act out of the majority, uh, if you want to receive results. Like heaven is not for everybody. Um, it can be for anybody, but not everybody goes. Uh, and I think in order to stand out in this world, um, and we are called as Christians to not blend in with the world. We are supposed to look more like, um, Christ as we progress, and less like the world, and become aliens of this world. And I think that that's something that I definitely have struggled with in this summer, because the world, is consuming. Like there's the when you don't have that routine, and um you're traveling, you're on vacation, um you don't have that routine, and you might be coming back home on a Sunday, or you might be flying out for work on a Sunday, or um you get home tired, and like your Bible's not in the same place, or you're out with friends. So the summer is definitely a time when, the world is a consuming place, and I definitely did not do a great job this summer of sticking to that, and um, the narrow gate was not, um, it wasn't always at the forefront of my thought, um, because along with, like, life just happens, and like that's not the right mentality to have. But um, the routine for me was not there this summer of spending time in the Word, and it um, so that's another reason why I'm looking forward to um things calming down and getting into more routine. But
Is
um
entering through the narrow gate, is it having that relationship with God, or is it something else? Like, do you want to define or at least give an example of what it would look like to enter through the narrow gate?
yeah, I think entering through the narrow gate is um not being consumed of this world. It says um the gate is wide and easy that leads to destruction. And I think most people that are um of the world like that, they do things of the world that lead to destruction. And um so the gate that is narrow and the way that is hard, that leads to life. That's the progression. That would be we don't want to make this an art like a argument of legalism, because we are like as Christians we are going to heaven, and like we can't do anything to, like, God's grace is a gift. We can't do anything to earn it, and we can't do anything to take it away. But one thing in as a Christian is sanctification and becoming more holy, and I think that is really entering through the narrow gate is one doing things that the world does not do. And that so that's a verse that's been on my mind, and genuinely have not done a great job of sticking to it the past 2 months. It's been a great summer. I've um, not abandoned my faith, but spending time in the Word daily has not been there.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough to do. It's tough when you're traveling. It's tough when you're going on a weekend for a wedding. It's tough to like, and I don't even know, like, do you think best case scenario, every morning, regardless of where you're at, you get in the Word like every morning? Do you think that's like best case scenario? Like regardless where you
Yes,
are, you have a Bible and you open it up and you read it.
yes, because that's the first thing in the morning that you're fresh, you're ready to go, like you're giving God your best.
Hmm.
And I think that's why people like working out in the morning. It's like, okay, I'm going to give my best to working out. I'm the most alert. I've got the most energy. And I think that's why a lot of people like it. But um, it is interesting too that the um, Jesus talked a lot about just being in prayer with God daily. It wasn't weekly, it wasn't hourly, it wasn't twice a day, it was daily. And I think there is something really important to that time frame. And we should be in constant communication with God. So I don't mean that, but I think the the daily aspect of being intentional about opening the Bible and reading and being maybe being in community, if that is what the that day calls, or fellowship um with other Christ followers. But um it's yeah, that so a lot of tangents, but that's those are kind of what I'm thinking.
No, that's good. And one thing I didn't do is I didn't travel with a Bible in my carry-on bag, right? And maybe
Mm,
that's something I should do now that we're kind of having this conversation. Maybe like just bringing a Bible everywhere. Like if you go somewhere overnight, just like throw it in your backpack.
hmm
Because
yeah, I think I do a good job of bringing it. I just don't always open it. So the yeah, I think that just giving God your best first thing in the mornings, incredibly powerful, and just spending time in prayer. Um, and I think that there's no secret to it that it needs to be done daily. Jesus is very clear about that. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, no,
Mhm.
that's good. And that's definitely an area I need to improve on as well. I'm good when I'm in my routine and I'm in my flow and I wake up and I get my coffee and I can read the
Mhm.
Bible and I can kind of do everything in my morning routine. So I'm good when it's a normal day, but the second I wake up in a different bed in terms of like going to these weddings or going to see our family in Colorado or New York or whatever, like the second
Mhm.
when I wake up in a different environment, like I abandon my routine. I don't work out. I'm not reading the Bible. Like it just goes
Mhm.
to show how important like setting up systems in your life and like setting up almost like a platform that you can just like plug into, you know.
Mhm.
It's so
Mhm.
so crucial that you kind of just have everything kind of laid out, you know.
Right. Well, and the priority is not. I think that since I've finished being a serious athlete, or at least an athlete on a team or a serious team, like that does not need to be priority number one. It Working out does not need to be priority number one as much as I think it does. It doesn't. Like the priority number one should be spending time in the Word, and there definitely is time for that. You might not always have a bench press or a squat rack, but you can always bring your Bible. So um, that's I this one thing that I'm looking forward to is I'm in a Bible study that stopped for the summer because people travel, people are going places, so they just stopped it for the entire summer, and it starts up again next week. So looking forward to that as just a way to be held accountable with people I look up to in New York. So yeah,
Cool.
so
No, I like that. I like that. That's awesome. Um, sweet, sweet. Well, I think we covered a good amount. I hopefully we're gonna be in a little bit better routine. Speaking of routines, of getting back to our Sunday habit here, finishing out the year strong. You know, initially we committed to 50, so regardless of how long it'll take, we'll knock out 50. But I mean, I want to keep this going and even looking at like some of our TikTok reels and Instagram stuff. It's fun just to record our thoughts on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's good. So all right, we'll close off there.
Any new perspective shifts on the only two things that we can invest our time and our money?
The only two things we have time, um, perspective shifts. I think the summer we've said it a lot already, but just the experiences. Um, you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. Like I went to Houston for that wedding, traveled, like booked flights, hotel, rental car, like that all cost money, but I'm so glad I got to go to that wedding. See friends, meet new people. It was great. Traveling, vacation, spending time with the family. Cost money to go golfing with our 14-year-old cousin. Cost money to go to dinner, but we can't get that back in terms of time. Went to Aspen.
We can't wait to well, you can't wait until when we have money to have those experiences.
Well, I have money. I have enough money. I don't need to be. Uh, I mean, that's pretty close-minded thing to say. But I'm glad I'm in an opportunity to trade uh trade money for experiences, trade money for time. So um yeah, just had a great summer, ready to um get back into the routine. And I'm glad I'm in a position where I can trade experiences. I can trade money for experiences.
Mhm.
And I'm very grateful for my job, very grateful for the people I work with. And it's been a fun summer, and I continue to do um, fun things and enjoy life. So
Yeah. Yeah, I look at it in terms of like, is this an experience that I can have later in life? And if it is, then I'm like, okay, there's no urgency for it. For example, going out to dinner in downtown San Diego, like, is this experience that I can delay into a time where the money doesn't mean as much to me?
mm,
Oh, yes, it is. Okay, I'm just going to delay that then. Going out in La Jolla or whatever, like, is this an experience that I can have later in life? Okay, it is. Awesome. I'll delay it, won't spend the money on it. But for things like, oh, family reunion in Lake Placid, New York, is this something I can delay to another time where money's not going to mean as much to me? No. Okay, then now I can go about that. So that's how I look at it.
mhm,
Um, and yeah, changing the whole concept of investing what it is that you have to be able to almost delay the instant gratification, or you're delaying gratification for a later time. That's really what I look at as success in general, is being able to kind of give up short-term wins for the big win. um,
mhm.
but yeah, man, that closes off this week. um, we'll get back into routine for all of our loyal listeners out there. So do not fret, do not worry. Your Erickson brothers will be here to comfort and to nurture you with the sounds of our voices. That's all I got. Matt, have a great week, bro.
You as well.